The all is mind. The universe is mental. 7 words, a statement so radical that if true, it collapses your entire understanding of reality. Because if the universe is mental, not physical, not material, but mental, then everything changes. The chair you're sitting on? Mental. Your body? Mental. The stars billions of light years away? Mental. And if everything is mental, then the distinction between inside and outside, between you and world, between thought and thing, that distinction is illusory. And here's the explosive implication. If everything is mental, then you are not observing reality, you are creating it. Every thought you have is not a reaction to an external objective world. It is a command sent to the universal mental field that manifests as experience. This is not empty metaphysics. It is the first and most fundamental Hermetic law. And throughout this video, you will understand not only what this means philosophically, but how to apply it to literally reprogram your reality. Hermes Trismegistus, the thrice great, is credited as the founder of Hermetic philosophy. The texts that bear his name, the Corpus Hermeticum and the Kybalion, affirm something that challenges everything modern society has taught you, that matter is primary and mind is secondary. Modern materialism says, first there is matter, then through some evolutionary accident, consciousness appears. Mind is just a byproduct of matter, neurons firing, nothing more. But Hermes completely inverts this. He says, first there is mind, and matter is a byproduct of mind. The fundamental substance of the universe is not the atom, it is consciousness, it is thought, it is mind. And if that sounds absurd to you, consider this. The greatest philosophers in history, Plato, Berkeley, Kant, Schopenhauer, Hegel, all arrived by different paths at the same conclusion. And now modern quantum physics is rediscovering what Hermes taught millennia ago. This is episode 1 of a series of 7 videos breaking down each Hermetic law. And we begin with the most fundamental one, the principle of mentalism. Throughout this video, you will discover why idealist philosophers proved that matter does not exist outside perception, how the double-slit experiment in quantum physics confirms the Kybalion, what the all means and why you are a part of it, how your individual mind is connected to the universal mind, why thoughts are literally forms of creative energy, how to use mentalism to intentionally manifest, the 7 levels of mental manifestation, the fatal error that blocks 99% of people from creating consciously. And in the end, you will understand something that changes everything. You were never separate from reality. You have always been reality looking at itself. Let's start with the philosophical foundation. Foundation 1. What is the all? Before you can understand mentalism, you need to understand the Hermetic concept of the all, the Kybalion. The all, which is the substantial reality underlying all the outward manifestations and appearances which we know under the terms of the material universe, the phenomena of life, matter, energy, and, in short, all that is apparent to our material senses, is spirit, which in itself is unknowable and undefinable. Translated, the all is the single source of everything that exists. It is not a personal God with a white beard. It is not an entity separate from you. It is the infinite consciousness from which everything emerges, including you. Why do the Hermetists call this the all? Because literally nothing exists outside of it. There is no inside and outside of the all. There is no before and after. The all is absolute totality. And here is the crucial part. If the all is everything that exists, then you are not separate from the all. You are a particular form that the all assumes. Think of it this way. A wave in the ocean is not separate from the ocean. It is the ocean in a temporary form. When the wave dissolves, it doesn't disappear. It just returns to oceanic form. You are the wave. The all is the ocean, and the substance of both? Mind. Plotinus, a Neoplatonic philosopher of the 3rd century, reached exactly the same conclusion. He called the All the One, the single, indivisible source of all existence. And Plotinus described the process of emanation. The One, by its very nature, overflows as light overflows from the sun. From this emanation comes nous, intellect, then psyche, soul, and finally, matter. But, and this is crucial, matter never ceases to be the One. It is just the One in its densest state, furthest from the source, just as ice is still water, only vibrating more slowly. Plotinus practiced henosis, mystical union with the One, and he reported, when you reach this state, you realize you have always been the One. There was never any separation, only the illusion of separation. You look around and see separate objects. You, the chair, the wall, other people. Everything seems distinct, isolated, separate. But mentalism says this separation is perceptual, not real. At the fundamental level, everything is a single mental substance manifesting in different forms. It's like a dream. In a dream, you see people, places, objects. They all seem separate. But when you wake up, you realize everything was your mind. There was no real separation. Everything was a manifestation of the same consciousness. The Hermetists say, the physical universe is the All's dream, and you are part of that dream, but you are also the dreamer. The arsenal, practical application. Practice 1, the All meditation. Every day, for 5 to 10 minutes, practice this contemplation. Close your eyes, breathe deeply. Mentally repeat, I am not separate. I am a form that the All assumes. The same consciousness that moves the stars moves my thoughts. I am the All, experiencing itself through this form called your name. Feel this, not just intellectually, but viscerally. You are dissolving the illusion of separation and recognizing your true nature. Foundation 2. Why the All is mental, not material. Now the crucial question. Why do the Hermetists affirm that the All is mental and not material? The Kabbalion says, the All, in itself, is beyond all human terms and is to be considered as a living, infinite mind. Material means made of physical substance, atoms, particles. Mental means made of consciousness, thought, perception. And the Hermetists argue, matter cannot create mind, but mind can create matter. Think logically. If the universe were fundamentally material, only atoms colliding in a void, how does consciousness emerge? How do dead chunks of matter suddenly gain the capacity to feel, think, experience? Materialists say, sufficient complexity generates consciousness. But this explains nothing. It's like saying, if you stack enough bricks, they come to life. It makes no sense. Now invert it. If the universe is fundamentally mental, then matter is just condensed mind, consciousness in a denser form, and suddenly everything makes sense. George Berkeley, an Irish philosopher of the 18th century, proved philosophically that matter does not exist outside perception. His argument is simple and devastating. You only know objects through perceptions, sight, touch, sound. Perceptions exist only in the mind. Therefore, objects exist only in the mind. He challenged, try to conceive of an object existing without being perceived. You can't, because the moment you conceive it, you are perceiving it. Berkeley concluded, to be is to be perceived. Only what is perceived exists. And what perceives? Mind. He was not saying the world is an illusion. He was saying the world is mental. Think of any object, an apple. You say, the apple exists independently of me. But try this. Everything you know about the apple, its color, texture, taste, weight, comes from your perceptions. Remove all perceptions. What is left? You might say, what's left is the apple in itself. But how do you know? You have never experienced the apple without perceptions. So you are positing something that, by definition, you can never know. The Hermetists say, it is simpler and more logical to assume the apple is mental, not a private hallucination of yours, but a manifestation of the universal mind that your individual mind perceives. The arsenal, practical application. Practice 2. The conscious perception exercise. Choose a nearby object. Look at it. Now ask, how do I know this exists? Without my eyes, would this have color? Without my hands, would this have texture? Without my mind, would this be anything? You will realize you never experience objects directly. You experience your perceptions of objects, and perceptions are mental. This does not make objects unreal. It makes them mentally real. Foundation 3. Your mind is part of the universal mind. If the all is mind, and you are part of the all, then your mind is not separate from the universal mind. The Kabbalion. The universe is mental, held in the mind of the all. You do not have your own isolated mind. You have a particular focal point within the universal mind. Just as a sun ray is not separate from the sun, it is the sun reaching a particular point. This solves the great mystery of consciousness. How do individual minds arise? Materialism cannot explain it. Hermeticism explains it elegantly. Your individual mind is a localization of the universal mind. You are the all, experiencing itself from a particular point of view. And here is the powerful implication. When you think, you are not thinking alone. You are thinking with the universal mind. Your thoughts are not isolated events happening inside your skull. They are disturbances in the universal mental field. Arthur Schopenhauer, a 19th-century German philosopher, described something similar. He called it the will, a blind, impersonal force that underlies all existence. Schopenhauer said, when you want something, it is not you wanting. It is the will manifesting through you. You are its channel. He wrote, man can do what he wills, but he cannot will what he wills, because willing comes from something deeper, the universal will. But Schopenhauer saw this as condemnation. The Hermetists see it as power. Because if you are a channel of the universal mind, then your thoughts have universal creative power. Have you ever had an intuition that turned out to be right? Some impossible coincidence? A moment where you just knew something without knowing how? Mentalism explains your individual mind is connected to the universal mind. You have access, under certain conditions, to information that does not come from your 5 senses. Carl Jung called this the collective unconscious, a layer of the psyche shared by all humanity. Hermeticism says it goes beyond humanity. It is shared by all existence. The arsenal, practical application. Practice 3. Accessing the universal mind. When you have an important decision to make, stop analyzing rationally for a moment. Quiet the conscious mind. Ask the question internally. Wait without forcing an answer. The first impression that comes, not thought, but felt, is often the universal mind responding. You are learning to differentiate ego thoughts, analysis, fear, desire, from insights of the universal mind, sudden clarity, calm certainty.
Foundation 4. Thoughts are causes, not just effects.
If the universe is mental, then thoughts are forms of creative energy. They are not just chemical reactions in the brain. They are not just reflections of the external world. They are primary causes that manifest effects. The Kabbalion says, mind, as well as metals and elements, may be transmuted from state to state, degree to degree, condition to condition, pole to pole, vibration to vibration. Most people think like this: external world, perception, thought, emotion, reaction. Hermeticism inverts it: thought, emotion, perception, external world. You do not think because something happens. Something happens because you think. Not totally, not instantly, not magically, but progressively, inevitably, because thoughts are seeds planted in the universal mental field that must germinate. Neville Goddard, a 20th century mystic and student of Hermeticism, taught, "Imagination creates reality." He was not speaking metaphorically. He was saying, when you vividly imagine something, you create it on the mental plane first, and the mental plane precedes the physical. Neville taught a technique. Before sleeping, imagine what you want as if it had already happened. Do not wish, do not wait. Mentally experience it as real. And he reported, consistently, what was imagined manifested. Not because he was attracting it, but because he was creating it on the mental plane, and the physical eventually conformed. You want to change your life. Stop trying to change external circumstances first. Start by changing internally. Do not change behavior first. Change thought first. Because behavior automatically follows thought. You cannot maintain thoughts of abundance and act from scarcity. Impossible. The outer always conforms to the inner. Practical example. You want more money. Do not start by doing more. Start by thinking as someone who has abundance thinks. What's the difference? Someone with abundance does not have thoughts of scarcity. Change the thoughts first. The actions will change by themselves. The arsenal. Practical application. Practice 4. Reverse mental engineering. Identify what you want to manifest. Ask, if I already had this, how would I think? List specific thoughts, not feelings, thoughts. What mental narratives would you have? Replace current thoughts with these. Every time you catch an old thought, stop and replace it with the new one. Maintain for 30 days. You are reprogramming mental patterns. Implication 1. There is no out there. Everything is in here. If the universe is mental, then the distinction between inner world and outer world collapses. The Kabbalion. The all creates in its infinite mind countless universes. You are not in a universe. You are experiencing a universe that exists in mind. Kant, a German philosopher, proved that you never know things in themselves. You only know phenomena, how things appear to you. And how things appear depends on the structure of your mind. You see space, time, cause and effect because your mind imposes these categories. Kant stopped there. He said, things in themselves exist but are unknowable. Hermeticism goes further. Things in themselves are mental. So you are not knowing something external. You are knowing aspects of the universal mind through the structure of your individual mind. Quantum physics discovered something disturbing. Subatomic particles behave differently when observed. In the double-slit experiment, electrons pass through two slits. Without observation, they create an interference pattern, wave. With observation, they create a particle pattern. The presence of an observer changes the behavior of matter. Quantum physicists debate what this means, but Hermeticists would say, obviously, matter is not independent of observation. Matter is a form that mind assumes when it observes. There is no objective matter out there. There is mental experience here. You are facing a problem in life, a conflict, a difficulty, a crisis. Standard approach? How do I change the external situation? Hermetic approach? How do I change my mental relationship with this? Because if everything is mental, then the external problem is actually an internal mental pattern manifested externally. Change the internal pattern and the external reorganizes. The arsenal, practical application. Practice 5, total internalization. When facing any challenge, stop analyzing the external situation. Ask, what mental belief is creating this experience? Identify the belief. Fear of rejection? Belief in scarcity? Sense of unworthiness? Work directly on the belief, not through the situation, but through mental contemplation. Watch the external situation change on its own. When the belief changes, the experience changes.
Implication 2. You are simultaneously creature and creator. The central paradox of mentalism: you are created by the all, but you also create through the all. The Kabbalion: while all is in the all, it is equally true that the all is in all. You are a wave created by the ocean, but you also are the ocean. So, you are simultaneously creature and creator. This resolves the paradox of free will versus determinism. Do you have free will? Yes, as a localized expression of the all. Are you determined? Yes, by the nature of the all. But they are not opposites. They are the same fact seen from different angles. When you act, is it you acting, or is it the all acting through you? Both, because there is no real distinction. Baruch Spinoza, a 17th century philosopher, reached the same conclusion. He said, God and nature are identical. There is no separate God creating nature. God is nature. Everything that exists is a modification of God. And you? You are a mode of God, a particular form that God assumes. So, when you think, God is thinking through you. When you create, God is creating through you. Spinoza called this the intellectual love of God, recognizing that you are God, experiencing Himself. You want to create something grand? A project? A work? A company? Do not think, it's just me, a small human being trying to do something. Think, I am the all expressing itself through this form. I have access to all intelligence, all creativity, all power of the all. This is not ego. It is recognition of fundamental truth, and it completely changes what you are capable of creating. The arsenal, practical application. Practice 6, creating as the all. Before any creative project, silence the ego. I, name, do not know how to do this. Invoke the all, but the all does, and I am the all in a particular form. Surrender. I become a channel. The all will create through me. Act without anxiety. You are no longer doing it alone. You are allowing something greater to express itself. Artists, inventors, geniuses often describe, "It wasn't me. Something came through me." Hermeticism says, correct. It was the all.
Implication 3. Reality is graded, not binary. If everything is mental, then there is no rigid division between real and unreal. There are only degrees of reality. The Kybalion. The all, being infinite, absolute, eternal, and unchangeable, must have all finite things as mere creations of its mind. So what is more real? The all, absolute mind, or the physical universe, mental manifestation? Answer: the all is more real. The physical universe is real, but in a derivative way. Plato already taught this with the theory of forms. There is the world of ideas, perfect, eternal, mental forms, more real. The physical world, imperfect, temporary, material copies, less real. A physical chair eventually decays. The idea of a chair is eternal. So which is more real? Hermeticism says the same. The closer to the all, pure mind, the more real. The further, dense matter, the less real. This does not mean the physical is an illusion. It means it is less fundamental. Hermeticism teaches that reality operates on 3 planes: the great physical plane, matter, energy, space; the great mental plane, thought, emotion, consciousness; and the great spiritual plane, the all itself. And the laws vary by plane. On the physical, you are limited by space and time. On the mental, less so. On the spiritual, not at all. Hermetic masters learn to operate consciously on higher planes, where they have greater creative power, and then to project results onto lower planes. You want to change something physical? Do not work only on the physical plane. Work on the mental plane first. Example: changing the physical body, physical plane, is hard, slow, requires constant effort. Changing the mental self-image, mental plane, is faster and automatically reorganizes the physical. Have you seen someone lose weight and then gain it all back? Because they changed the physical without changing the mental. The old mental self-image pulled the physical back. The arsenal. Practical application. Practice 7. Layered manifestation. To manifest anything. Layer 1. Spiritual plane. Recognize it already exists as potential in the all. Layer 2. Mental plane. Create it vividly in imagination. Feel it as real. Layer 3. Emotional plane. Generate the emotions associated as if you already had it. Layer 4. Physical plane. Act in the physical world as someone who already has it. You are descending through the planes, making it progressively denser until it manifests physically. Error 1. Confusing mentalism with solipsism. Many people hear the universe is mental and think, then it's just me. Everything is my private imagination. Other people don't really exist. That is solipsism, not Hermeticism. Hermeticism does not say that only your individual mind exists. It says that the universal mind, the all, exists, and your individual mind is part of it. Other people are also parts of the same universal consciousness that you are. So they are just as real as you, each a manifestation of the same mental source. The Kybalion. The all creates in its mind the universes, but these universes, being mental creations, are nonetheless real. Practical application. Do not treat others as characters in your dream. Treat them as other focal points of the same universal consciousness that you are. This creates ethical responsibility. To hurt another is to hurt another expression of the all, which is ultimately yourself in another form.
Error 2. Using mentalism to avoid action. Some people hear thoughts create reality and think, then I don't need to act. I just need to think and magically manifest. Fatal error. Mentalism does not replace action. It directs action. You create first on the mental plane, but you must then act on the physical plane to manifest. The Kabbalion. Mind can not only act upon mind, but can also act upon matter, so-called. Likewise, matter may act upon mind. Thought without action is fantasy. Action without directed thought is waste. Both together are manifestation. Application in practice. Create mentally. Visualize, feel, internally experience. Act physically. Take concrete steps, even small ones, in that direction. Trust the process. The mental organizes opportunities. The physical concretizes them.
Error 3. Trying to control every detail. Some people think, if I'm the creator, I must micromanage every detail of the process. This generates anxiety and blocks manifestation. You define the what, desired result, on the mental plane. The all organizes the how, means of manifestation. Your job? Clarity of intention plus openness to unexpected paths. The all's job? Orchestrate synchronicities, opportunities, coincidences. Application in practice. Manifest the final result. Do not try to control every step. The universe will find ways you never imagined. The all is mind. The universe is mental. These 7 words contain an entire philosophical system, a complete map of reality, a key to reprogram your existence. Because if it is true, and philosophers from Plato to Berkeley, from Plotinus to Schopenhauer, and now quantum physicists all point toward it, then you are not a powerless victim in an indifferent material universe. You are a conscious expression of the universal mind. You are the all, looking at itself through a particular perspective. And therefore, your thoughts are not random noise. They are creative commands sent to the universal mental field. But there is responsibility in this. Because if your thoughts create, then you are responsible for the reality you are experiencing. Not totally. You are part of the all, not the all in its entirety, but significantly. To recap what we have learned, the all is universal mind, and you are an inseparable part of it. Matter is condensed mind, not the other way around. Your mind is connected to the universal mind. You have access to infinite wisdom. Thoughts are creative causes, not just effects of circumstances. There is no out there separate from in here. Everything is mental experience. You are simultaneously creature and creator, a sacred paradox. Reality is graded. The more mental, the more real and more malleable. And the practices to apply. Meditate daily on your identity as the all. Practice conscious perception. Access insights from the universal mind. Do reverse mental engineering. Totally internalize every problem is mental first. Create as the all, not as ego. Manifest in layers, spiritual, mental, physical. Hermes Trismegistus, Corpus Hermeticum. Mind is of the very essence of God. This is not blasphemy. It is recognition of a fundamental truth. You were never separate from the divine. You have always been the divine in a particular form. And when you live from that recognition, when you think, feel, and act knowing that you are the all, operating through a form called your name, everything changes. You stop begging the universe and start co-creating with it. You stop reacting and start causing. You stop being a victim and become an architect. Because the universe is not something that is happening to you. It is something that is happening through you. And now that you know this, the question is, what will you create?